Now, this is a topic that's been on my mind for quite a while recently. As I'm looking back at, all the games that have come out this year, as we start to tally everything together, I remember the Lost Crown, and man, what a disappointment, right? Not in terms of the actual game itself. I mean, the game is really, really good. I actually have um, a number of videos on my channel just dedicated to my boss fights in this game. And I thought it was something that really should have acquired a lot more attention than it ended up, getting. So I was surprised by how it did catch on. So I've been thinking about why that didn't happen. I'm sure this is something people have spoken about as the year went on. It's just something I'm talking about really late. But I feel like it is really unfortunate that we won't be getting a sequel to this game because apparently all the developers that were working on it were moved into, other sections within the grander Ubisoft operation. What I find interesting is that Ubisoft has had a really bad year. And I think for the most part they deserve it, Skull and Bones, the whole quadruple A thing, what they did with Star Wars Outlaws and everything with Assassin's Creed Shadows. They've truly earned a lot of their woes for this year. But one of the situations that I feel is unfortunate is that the Lost Crown got caught up in all of this. This game gives me the same type of frustration that Hi-Fi Rush gave me last year. A game which I feel deserved to be treated much better than it ended up being treated. And it's unfortunate that it kind of fell through the cracks. As a Metroidvania, this game was really, really excellent. Fantastic puzzles, a great combat system, a cool world. It had a few issues here and there, mostly with the story, but otherwise, I think it was a very, very solid title, and I think most people that have played it would agree. In terms of why it failed, I guess this is what I want to focus on. I want to see, first of all, my reasons, the ones that apply to me, and then a few things I've seen other people talk about. Now, I didn't pick this game up immediately. The original release was in January, and I picked the game up in August when it came to Steam, and that's my first issue. They did not release this on Steam. I feel like that Ubisoft Connect thing, it needs to go. This business of releasing games on your own launchers and not on Steam, some people can get away with it, like Riot, but most other companies cannot. You have to bring your games to Steam. I mean, Alan Wake 2 to this date is still apparently in debt for its production costs and has just recently gotten very close to breaking even. This kind of thing I feel is not sustainable. You cannot just release on your own launcher that's not on Steam. There are so many players who will not buy a game that's not on Steam. I remember when I looked at the data for Veilguard, they recently revealed that they crossed 1 million sales. But if you look at the ownership estimates for Steam on SteamDB, it looks like 700,000 of those 1 million are just on Steam. And then everybody else is split up across the consoles and whatnot. So with so many players being on Steam, it just makes sense to release your games day one on that platform if you want to survive within the PC market. If your thing is console exclusive, fine, whatever. But if it's coming to PC, it needs to come to Steam. I know that there are actual business reasons to not put your game on Steam. The split between the development studio and Steam is bigger than it is on Epic. There is also this, in fact, I think there's a lawsuit going on around that. Also, from a more cynical perspective, if you release on your own platform, you can control the narrative around the game. Steam has its user forums, it has reviews, and your game can get review bombed for something that has even nothing to do with the game. Also, if you're a shady person that wants to hide the narrative around your game, putting it on another platform can help. But at a certain point, you need to get your head out of your ass. None of those reviews matter if nobody buys your shit. You need to put it on Steam. Otherwise, everybody else seems to have recognized this. And I think Ubisoft has caught up with it as well. It definitely had Star Wars Outlaws badly. And they've now announced that when Assassin's Creed Shadows comes, it's coming to Steam day one. And I'm like, yeah, that's the only chance that game has. Like, seriously. In the past, a lot of the Ubisoft brand power sort of was powerful enough to save these games, but that capital is running out fast. With the amount of screw ups they've had, this capital is running out very, very quickly. The games need to come to Steam and they need to come like day one. Otherwise, if it comes later when people have moved on and the hype market is dead, sorry, and the hype machine has sort of died down, yeah, their performance is just it's not going to be as good. I mean, Square Enix has been talking about that as well. They're apparently not going to do these console releases. Sorry, they're not going to do these console exclusive launches anymore because I think this seriously had sales and attention for a game. Unless you intend to do console exclusivity, I think it's best to just bring it to Steam. The other problem that the game had was apparently because you didn't play as the prince and you played as this new character called Sargon. Prince Hassan is in the game, but he's not a playable character. He basically plays the role of your MacGuffin that you're trying to rescue. And while this might, I don't think this is a heavy reason, but I have seen other people talking about this, as a reason why they didn't want to play the game. The other big reason that I believe stops people from playing the game is the fact that it's a Metroidvania and not a 3D, triple A action game like many of the older Prince of Persia games used to be. I think this would put certain people off because it looks like a spin-off more than an actual Prince of Persia game, and I think there are people who genuinely will not give the game a chance based on that. So I think that also hurt the game. And then also, the funny thing is that this game did get good reviews, but it didn't help it. And I think that's because the trust in reviewers has been damaged over time, as we all know. And so getting good reviews nowadays is almost meaningless. I mean, look at Star Wars Outlaws and Veilguard. Most people don't trust the mainstream reviewers. So even if you get good reviews, unfortunately, it's not going to help. If the regular content creators don't have access to the game, it doesn't matter. And I think companies are starting to realize this and they're playing another game. This, I played X hours of of X game and I thought it was impressive. I'm sure you've seen those videos around. I think that's the way that publishers are trying to get around this problem. They give the games to these influencers and then they ask them to make those I played X hours of X game and then they, basically use that as their marketing tool. I think it's only a matter of time until those stop being trusted as well, especially recently with Cyberpunk, Star Wars Outlaws, and Veilguard. Those reviews or those types of videos are also very soon going to lose their impact, I believe, if they continue going the way that they're going. They keep being used by people, and then when the game comes out, it's nothing like what early impressions people said it was. The early impressions people always have the caveat of, well, I mean, it was just early impressions. We didn't have the entire game, so, we only told you about what it looked like from the little content we had, so it kind of waves it away. But if that trust breaks, that's also going to be difficult to use. Those are the reasons why I think this didn't really take off. I hope through some miracle it ends up being picked up, but since the team has already been moved, honestly at this point I'm not sure it even matters. Other than that, there is one extra thing I wanted to talk about. It has nothing to do with anything, but I found it really funny that they changed the prince. Sargon is a black guy with the Killmonger haircut. I find it very funny that they decided to give him that look. In fact, I find it so off-putting that I went for the other look that makes him look more like the original prince from Sands of Time, which is funny because they gave that look for free. So it seems like even within the studio they had that disagreement. And so they decided to give the other skin and have it animate with everything in the game. And the game has nothing to do with hip hop or anything, and yet the character has that very urban look, with the hairstyle and everything. When you finish the game and you get to the end credits, for some reason out of nowhere there is a hip hop song. The rest of the game has absolutely nothing to do with hip hop, and then at the end there's just a random hip hop song, and I was like, wait a minute, did you Did you put this hip hop song because the character? You wouldn't, right? You wouldn't put a random hip hop song just because